Well, gang, we're 2 minutes early. We always want to start early instead of late. People are still clicking on, so we'll just visit here for just a second. It has been really amazing to me. Sometimes things happen and you just can't understand why they happen. And Doug and I getting back together, Doug Grant with Optimal Health Systems and Brimhall Seminars, getting back together was kind of a fluke. We worked together in the 80s and then we went our own separate ways, and now we're back together again. And I have to tell you, I have formulated over 200 products. I've never seen anything like these pre-digested whole food products. I've never got so many testimonials from doctors and patients, and the results are just amazing. That's all you can say. It only makes sense, though, when you realize that we're lucky if our digestion is the very best it can possibly be. You would digest about 20% of your foods and put them into utilization. Where with the Opti Adrenal now and the Optimal Health Systems foods, all of them are pre-digested and they're put in what I call the organic soup, where they turn out to be a whole food, organic, pre-digested nutrient. I mean, it's almost hard to say that. If Royal Lee were alive, I'm sure that he would probably have to jump ship and come here and or try to steal the technology, because what he had made before was 1 milligram, and now we have in like an Opti Adrenal, we have 80 milligrams of parotid, and Doug has his enzyme systems to break foods down where it happens in just a few days, and yet thyroid took several weeks, or parotid took several weeks to get it to break down. And he found out that the proteins are actually layered, almost like you'd have cross fibers going all the way through them. So we had quite a fit to get all those completely breaking down. And people have always said, well, why do you have 80 milligrams of parotid in an adrenal product, only 25 milligrams of adrenal? And the reason for that is when you put things in the mouth, the reason you're supposed to chew is the parotid secrete the enzymes that tell the body what to do with that food. It can tell if there's toxins or poisons, heavy metals, and it starts to signal right then to pull them out and get rid of them immediately. Or if they're the good guys and it realizes they're available, it will target and send that, literally just put the target on it and send that right to where it needs to go in the body, as strange as that is. But Royal Lee talked a lot about glandulars and how they, if you chew an adrenal, the adrenals actually repair from that particular nutrient. If you chew a parotid, the parotids not only repair, but also send the signaling throughout the whole body. Now, the interesting thing that we're really finding now that we're putting through this program is that they just weren't breaking down. No matter how hard people tried to chew them and get them in their own digestive system, they weren't getting anywhere near 20% digestion, assimilation, and utilization. Now we're getting 100%. So if you get 100% utilization, the statistics show we get about 300% better use out of the nutrients that Optimal Health System is able to put together. The systems here are literally that. What systems are we talking? We're talking about digestive nutrients, vitamin and minerals, essential fatty acids, fruit and vegetable, which has structure function claims, 9 of them, that the government actually allows Optimal Health Systems to say this helps the heart, etc., because of the way the nutrients are and the way they have literally, the literature proves out that they work. Plus complete nutrition that is available through the glandulars, the detoxification pathways, the rebuilding through vitamins, minerals, herbs. So it's an amazing situation that's been put together here. So OHS Therapeutics, there's over 30 high-potency formulas used by 1,000 different doctors and professional athletes for the last 20 years. Doug, why don't you take a minute and just kind of talk to us how you got into the athletic realm?
Well, it was actually kind of by default, Dr. Brimhall. As you know, back in the day, we were training people, trying to help them reach optimal health, working out of a rehab center and a chiropractic office. And we understood through the studies and the research that I was doing in organic chemistries that people were not getting the results from their nutrition and especially their supplements if their bodies were stressed. So we did a lot of work in the organic chemistries and enzymes and utilization, digestion at the cell level, and came up with the protocols to be able to help patients get better, help athletes be able to have greater performance, and work through those times of stress and deliver nutrients at the cell level to help the body repair, whether it be muscle or to prevent disease or help with the disease from a nutritional standpoint. And actually, just to jump right into the one thing that really led us into being the nutritionist for the Phoenix Suns and the Miami Heat and the Spurs and the rest of the teams in that was because an athlete by the name of Danny Ainge came to us and said, "Hey, my liver is shot. The doctors tell me I have a liver of an alcoholic, but yet I've never drank a day in my life, and I want to fix it, and I'm upset at the medical system." And so we looked at it, and it was obvious that he needed to fortify the liver and clean. So we used milk thistle, a lot of nutrients and the enzymes, and he said he'd tried it before without results. And we told him, well, it's because you didn't deliver those nutrients. Your body's stressed. Your liver's, almost cirrhotic. And so what happened was he got the results quickly. Numbers changed, blood work changed. The team physician just couldn't believe it. He came and we explained what we were doing, and kind of, as they say, from there it was history. And since then, we've been formulating and pre-digesting the nutrients and working at the cell level, just continuing the research and finding out that it's great for the athletes. And yes, we do a lot of work with them, but in all reality, the core levels were like Dr. John works with the patients and helping them be able to deliver nutrients through a stress system, nutrients that we know work, that the whole foods work and that nature works, but finally being able to get them delivered like the pharmaceutical drugs, but delivering whole foods instead of pharmaceuticals.
Doug, tell us a little bit why you're so partial to chiropractic.
Well, I was in an accident that I had fell off some scaffolding and was hit a tire, and I was facing the ceiling though. My head and my feet hit the ground, but the rest of my body went the wrong way, and I was paralyzed for a time, and didn't get much help from the big neurological center I was sent to. I finally broke out of there and went to chiropractic and was treated holistically and found out that really the spine wasn't severed, it was a concussion. And so through proper adjustments, through massage, through acupuncture, through every faculty that the chiropractor could offer, and in speaking even with Dr. John a lot, was able to recover and then resume my work in the organic chemistry field and nutrition and working as a trainer. So I have a deep place in my heart for chiropractic and treating the body holistically.
You were actually in a wheelchair for a while, weren't you?
Yeah, for quite a while, and it was one of those things where you hit and miss, because there's things that we did and they get a little worse, and things we did it got better, and so it was a great learning experience of the power of nutrition and chiropractic and the importance of keeping the spine, the nerve pathways clean.
It's interesting too that we got together, because that's my story. I was studying to be a dentist and literally lost the feeling from my waist down and went in a spasm from my waist up, and I too was in a wheelchair and couldn't move, I couldn't stand or anything else, and they carried me into a chiropractor and I walked out. So Doug and I have a real parallel there of wanting to help other people like we were helped. And the adrenals, he talked about stress. We're all stressed out, whether you're dealing with insurance companies or driving on the freeway or treating patients or whatever you're trying to do. Family systems are another great stressor and also a great area of love, but they all adds up. 1 + 1 + 1 + 1. The adrenals can't keep up. And we have found that it's in different stages. If you look at Han Soye's work, he found first the adrenals just get under alarm and they get hyperactive. And then they kind of go through the phase where they're just barely getting by. They're just resisting and trying to keep going, and then they finally go into exhaustion. And most of us see patients all day long, they're in exhaustion phase. Now, the reason that the glandulars that I have put together work so well is that we do have only 25 milligrams of adrenal. There's other products out there with more than 25, but of course they're not pre-digested. So you're only going to get like 2% or 5% of, or at the very most of glandulars, 20%, and here we're giving you 100%. And it's so important to understand that that's exactly what we have been able to do here. And we got some background noise there. Somebody just kicked on there. Brett, if that's you, we're hearing you come on to us somehow. So back out of the noise factor there for us. Anyway, so the way we have formulated this with all of the glandulars together and all the backup nutrients, you can treat somebody even if they're on cortisone or natural products that produce cortisone with this product. starting off maybe one twice a day, weaning up to 3 times a day, morning, noon, and night. And normally I recommend you don't wait all the way to supper time or after supper, because you will get more energy from this because you turn the body back on. You not only repair the adrenals, but the thymus, the spleen, digestion, assimilation. You remember 85 to 90% of the immune system is in the gut. Adrenal, the way we have done this product, Opti Adrenal, reestablishes gut and immune system. It also takes the stress off the thyroid gland. Many times you cannot get the thyroid to work properly because there's so many stress hormones, particularly cortisol, shuts down the conversion of the thyroid into active thyroid. And so the adrenal is a very necessary part of thyroid function. And interestingly enough, the second product will be out in the next 4 weeks, if everything goes well, will be Opti Thyroid. Right behind that will be Opti Heart. And it's interesting, Dr. Brimhall, my son, has mentioned in his office that the number one thing he stresses of all the years of the nutrition we've developed together is adrenal number one, and definitely thyroid right behind it, and heart behind that. And I evaluated a patient today, and the 3 things he needed was number one, you've got to get the adrenals turned on so the thyroid can function. But he was having vertigo, and I had him stand up and close his eyes. He about fell over. Stand up and balance on one foot. He about fell over. But if you have somebody stand up, and they should be able not to sway, if they close their eyes and they sway back and forth, look to the heart. If they sway side to the side, that's pretty much adrenal. This guy did both at the same time. So we have ammunition for you that is so powerful here. Just look at this one picture. Any kind of a stress, structural, nutritional, emotional, heavy metals, toxins, death, divorces, taxes, has the same effect on the body. Cortisol shoots up and DHEA goes down. So there goes, your body is revved up. You're aging rapidly when DHEA goes down. You have the inability to use glucose, therefore you'll be craving more sugars. You eat more sugars, that causes diabetes, syndrome X, etc. That makes you have a worse diet. You're already breaking down your collagen faster than you're repairing it because of chronic stress, because of this action going on here. And then from there, the protein does break down. Your secretory IgA goes down. Now there comes allergies and sensitivities. Antigen presentation goes up, including leaky gut and allergies. Circulating IgA goes up. Now your body's reacting, and then autoimmunity comes after that. And a lot of the thyroid problems we have today are autoimmune. So the first thing you think is Opti Adrenal. Jumpstart those adrenals. And the way we've always done it in chiropractic, in the kinesiological world, is you test any intact muscle. Then you stretch that joint capsule and retest that same muscle. If they go weak, you can have them just open that capsule and dump it on the tongue, or even put it next to the body, and you will see the muscle go strong on stress immediately. And remember, you're just checking one muscle, but every muscle, every joint is working exactly the same way. So stress causes psychological aspect here, anxiety, insomnia, depression, anger outbursts, ADD, hyperactivity, agitation. The overactivity in the acute phase causes headaches, colitis, irritable bowel, high blood pressure, muscle spasms, panic attack, eczema, ulcers, and we're giving you a very, 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 very abbreviated list of all these different areas. In the physical realm, fibromyalgia, chronic fatigue, infections, allergies, autoimmune conditions, as I just mentioned, and cancer are some of the things that come from chronic stress. So it only makes sense that we take the stress away, and nutrition is a great way to do it while we're evaluating the problem that they have. And the other day, one of the participants texted some questions to us, emailed them, and said, hey, what happens when people are on cortisol? And as we mentioned, in the burnout phase, Opti Adrenal is the best thing you can do. And you can phase out on the other thing as you start phasing in and increasing. I just can't imagine needing more than 1-3 times a day of Opti Adrenal, since it's 300% more absorbed and utilized than anything I've ever formulated before. The glandulars that we use are all grass-fed. They're antibiotic-free, and they are bovine. They're not porcine. They clean up the impure products. Even when you put it in this organic and pre-digested soup, those two different things, and they're separate issues, will literally clean up anything that might have been there before, even though they're pristine when we put them together. Are they safe for nursing mothers? I just had that question again yesterday. Here's what all companies are going to tell you, whether it's Optimal Health Systems or any other company. They're going to say when somebody's pregnant or nursing, then go off the nutrition unless your doctor tells you. They do that because that protects their behind. Literally, to add a nutrition, if the person needs it, I can't see a problem with it, but I know why they do that. So I would never tell you one way to do it. You, the doctor, and the patient have to decide. But the first OB we went to when we got pregnant with the twins, I say it's we because it was a major job for both of us. And raising twins, they're not twice as much work, they're 10 times as much work, but also 10 times as much fun. But that lady said, go off all stuff unless I give it to you. And I told my wife, there's no way we're doing that. Look at her. She's 150 pounds overweight. She told us she gave birth to twins, and her bill before she got out of the hospital was $200,000. She was in there for a month. You know how long we were in there? 2 days. I started unwinding them when they came out, and Brandy was on heavy-duty nutrition the whole time. We started poking nutrition down them right when they were born, and since they got home, they're 4 years old now. And it's just, that's what we do. But you have to make that decision. The companies are going to tell you not to do it. But my daughters, my wife, definitely have taken nutrition during the whole time. Just to show you what the label looks like here, they're all going to look that way. Opti Adrenal, Opti Thyroid, Opti Heart, this coming down the pipe. But also it's very similar to what Doug has already formulated in these whole culture media brands. So let's switch from there and blow it up a little bit here where you can see the different things are in there. Vitamin C, riboflavin, niacin, B6, pantothenic acid, magnesium, zinc, chromium, potassium, lemon bioflavonoids, tyrosine, parotid, thymus, chlorella, adrenal gland, rhodiola, spleen, grapeseed extract, and everything else you see in here. Talk about a whole multiple. I mean, who couldn't benefit from this? I can't imagine at any age or stage. Right now, the research is showing that babies are downloaded with 287 toxins in the umbilical cord. Moms are downloading their toxins into the baby. So where could you possibly find a pre-digested formula like this? Only at Optimal Health System. It doesn't occur anywhere else in the world. This is a patented process, and in this format, it's just nowhere else. So you can see all the different nutrients in there. And again, 80 milligrams is a lot, but when you realize it's 100% pre-digested and turned organic through the soup that is put in, that's a whole different world. And now, what about methylation? It is organically methylated with the organic soup that I call it that is put together. Let's just take one nutrient you may not be as familiar with, like rhodiola. This herb grows in very cold regions, and therefore it has to survive, and it increases performance, mental performance, and physical performance. It's been used for many, many years. It's been categorized as an adaptogen. If you're not familiar with that word, it's like red laser. Red laser 635, 650 in that area. If you shine it on an area that's underactive, it brings it up towards normal. If it's hyperactive, it brings it down to normal. That's exactly what we do with this particular nutrient in this product. It brings it toward normalization, helps to heal and repair, structurally, nutritionally, emotionally, because all of the different, this is designed to do that. The whole food culture media, Doug, can you jump in here a little bit and just tell us real quickly how this works?
What we've done is understood the work, great research done not just by Dr. Royal Lee, but by many others, showing the importance of having all the constituents to a vitamin be present and not just one fraction. And so we had the problem, as Dr. John said, to be able to have the dosages needed to actually create some cellular change, but not being able to get it in the whole food form. So what we've done is we've created what Dr. John calls an organic soup, but it's a whole food cultured media that combines very specific amounts of probiotics, of enzymes, of the fermentation needs of the pea, the yeast, and so on, and the whole foods to ensure that we can create or bind to individual components of a vitamin the necessary factors to methylate it, to bring it on and be able to create high dosages, but have it be whole food based. And that's really the key, and that's actually the way you determine whether it works or not, is to see if that extra methyl group has been added. And it's a phenomenal process that we've been able to develop over the years, and working with some of the greats of Dr. Ashmi, Dr. Kim Shahani, the late Stan Bynum, and others. And so it is a phenomenal system that allows you now as health professionals to have high dosages of vitamins, but ensure they're not synthetic or chemically derived. And that's a big factor. I mean, the research that shows certain vitamins are actually unhealthy for you, really doesn't come down to the vitamin being unhealthy for you. It's a fact that they're using vitamin A in the form of palmitate. They're using vitamin C in the form of ascorbic acid, which is nothing more than corn syrup and hydrochloric acid mixed together, and so on. So bringing the whole food factors at high dosages to the table changes the ball game. And that's where, for example, with the Opti Adrenal came in. Dr. John knew certain vitamins were needed at certain dosages, so all we did is came in and added the cultured media and made sure that he was able to retain those dosages, but that those vitamins and nutrients were organically bound or whole food bound to the public. But for you and I, basically the concept we know is methylated. And so that's how it works. It's a great process, and that's why some of the results are just phenomenal. The combination of this and the pre-digestion.
And Doug, you have independent lab studies that have proved it absolutely is methylated by the time we finish the product.
That's it, and that's the key is to be able to show when it's time to be able to be taken out, if you would, of the culture media, or it's able to go into a formula, is because it becomes methylated. So it's a pretty simple process to be able to determine whether it works or not, and where we're at.
Excellent. And so we pretty well covered this for you already. There's 2 separate steps that OHS does that nobody else in the world did. And until Doug and I got back together, I did not realize this was even available. Some of the doctors would tell me they were getting better results with his brand than anything else, even without glandulars. I said, how can that possibly be? So he took me through the whole food culture media and the pre-digestion system, and wow, we have something that does not exist anywhere else in the planet, and it's all a patented system that keeps Doug pretty well in control, so nobody else can come in and copy this. And the good thing is that it works for you, and you can continue to add to your products as we do. Now, there are a couple of things we wanted to point out. I talked to you a minute ago about the adrenal stretch. That's on the bottom of the slide. You just take any joint and test the muscle, the tensor fasciae latator, pectoralis major curve, clavicular sternal, even a group muscle test like a down arm. And if it's strong, and you stretch the joint capsule, this is like point on the arm or point on the leg, and they go weak, that indicates adrenal stretch. And if you give them the Opti Adrenal right on the spot, they'll go stronger. And of course, there's very specific muscles that tie into the muscle testing and adrenals, such as sartorius and gracilla, if you're there. Of course, there's urine studies, there's blood work, there's the blood pressure. When let's say you're lying down, your blood pressure should be 120/80 optimally. When you raise up, either to the sitting or standing position, it should jump 8 to 10 millimeters of mercury. So 120 should go to 130 on the systolic. The diastolic is not considered that particular test. Most of the time when you check somebody, if they say they're 120, they drop even to 118 or 110 rather than raising up. But even if it raises 2 or 3 or 4, that's not enough. That's still adrenal fatigue. And you're going to find 90% of your patients need this product, need this support.
And one thing there is the great thing about everything we're talking about with the whole food cultured media, with the methylating, with being able to pre-digest the glandulars and ensure that all the layers are broken down for better delivery. The bottom line is this is a great formula to test it. I mean, you have so many different ways to test for adrenal fatigue, and then to be able to put them on the adrenal formula and retest them to see the improvement. So, let us put our money where the mouth where the money is, and basically show the methylation process. Combining a carbon and 3 hydrogens and ensuring that is actually in an organic state, and that you can get great results very quickly with the formula. And that's why we put those tests up there. There's many ways to be able to prove it and be able to show the results.
We put this slide in for a very good reason. I wanted the Opti Adrenal and the thyroid and the ones that I've created to be a pure wholesale is there, and double it for retail. So you guys can get the possibility that you want to have there, and it's very inexpensive. Now, with some of the seminars that you go to, they'll have an adrenal, and it has like 5 milligrams or 1 milligram. So if you had to, you take 3 or 4 or 5 or 10 to get the kind of results that you need. But even if they had 25 tablets adding up to 25 milligrams, they still don't have 20% of digestion. And that the cost to do that a day would be, $30 a day. Where we have a 90 tablet bottle for only $15 your cost. I mean, it's embarrassing to give you so much for so little, but I think you're gonna get addicted to this line and see the results very, very, very quickly. Doug has some other things coming down the pipe, so would you explain what you have coming on here?
Sure, we have the final details that you put together for the OptiThyroid. Now it's being blended, so we're excited about it coming out real soon. And as Dr. John just mentioned, the Opti Heart formula. We also have a urinalysis testing system that's just being finished. We actually created it ourselves. We were going through the process of making sure each test is going to be CLIA waived. It's going to be a great test that you'll be able to use in your office to determine a lot of different things, basically everything that's needed to help understand autoimmune risks, free radical levels, heavy metals, exactly which ones, how much is in the system, nitric oxide levels, and it'll be a nice, fun system that you can do in office with the patient. They see the results immediately while they're there, and you're able to make the recommendations. They're able to come back and see the change. It's just a great system we're putting together. We'll keep you informed of it. I'm actually expecting the final tests within the next week, so we'll finish putting the program together real soon, and just look forward to the rest of the Opti line coming out along with the testing, and we'll try to create seminars and webinars for you to be trained on them and be able to continue on.
I just want to end our part of this. Doug and I have been under a threat order to be through right on the half hour because Clark Tilley with Thrive and Dr. Brett are going to talk about how they've been able to increase his production and profitability by adding the Thrive system to the Opti Nutrition. So Dr. David Hancock is a very good friend of mine. He's followed my work for many, many years, and he just sent this to me. I didn't ask him to. He said, I recently began to test the nutrient doses of OHS and other products. The required dosage of virtually every supplement goes down from a third to a two-thirds. He says sometimes even more. It obviously makes both compliance easier and affordability for the patients. And you say, well, gosh, that's bad because I don't sell as much nutrition. No, it's good because everybody gets results for much less money. They're going to send their whole family in, and they'll be able to stay on it. They don't dare go anywhere else. Where would you go to get these products if you can't go online and get them unless you get the credit for them? Doug has a auto ship program where even after they quit seeing you, the Thrive system educates them to stay on the nutrition afterwards. You constantly get credit for that. So they can talk about that a little later. There's a lot of really unique systems that he has available. He says, in addition, we've been getting more unsolicited testimonies than ever before from any other supplements used. It's such a home run for everyone involved, from clinical response, ease of ordering, quality of available literature, and customer service standpoints. Thank you so much for your consistent research and development of new companies, products, and services. We are poised to begin the Thrive system, which they're going to talk about in a minute very shortly. He says he's replacing his other supplements with OHS every day. And everybody's been doing that. They switched over because the results are so much better. A lot of the ones that Doug has already fit right into our muscle testing, right into our functional studies. It's just very good. Dr. Wardy from Texas, a Brimhall certified doc, and he sent this to me just the other day. He said, we've been giving our patients OHS supplements for the past 5 weeks, ever since homecoming, and we've been having amazing results. Better results than any company we've ever used. He put this, I didn't, NutriWest, Zymogen, anybody. I can't keep this stuff in stock. I sold 4 times more nutrition last month than my monthly average. Very excited about the pre-digested adrenal support to come out, and of course we have it for him now. So he sent this bugging us about, hey, what's it going to happen? Dr. Brett is going to be on here in just a minute, but we had him put words in his mouth. The testing of OH products against any other nutrition, the pre-digested formulas of OHS win almost every time. The new Opti Adrenal tested #1 every time he tested it so far. We're also finding the OHS pre-digested formulas have been a huge win for GI problems. As Doug said, everything is pre-digested, but also everything has the enzymes in there and probiotics. So the intestine actually heals faster, functions better, and he has found, Dr. Brett has found, that he doesn't have to give them anything for constipation anymore, that people have normal bowel movements, better digestion, less gas, bloating, the leaky gut's healing up. So we're going to stop right there, and I think we're right on time. We were threatened we had to buy a grass-fed beef dinner for Clark if we ran over. We're 2 minutes early, Clark. Take the show.
Very good. Great, great, great. Let's see. We're going to quickly switch the presenters back to me. And thank you so much. Everybody should be on there now and able to see the screen. And we just want to, we're really excited to work with Dr. John Doug Grant and the system. We're having some tremendous results with the Thrive system. Again, a business system to be able to magnify your efforts from your office out to your patients and your inactive patients. And as we come together and putting this whole package together, again, to benefit you and really generate some significant revenue in your office. You know, as I've been in with these wonderful chiropractic naturopath people over the last couple of years, you work your fingers off on these people changing their lives, and it's incredible. And obviously you see miracles and you see people's lives come back and to be able to enjoy happy, healthy lives. And as we introduce this business system to these offices, like Dr. Brett's and others, just some really pretty incredible things are happening on the revenue side of the business, because you're great doctors and working on the body, these systems can work on your business, and in a very similar way that you're experiencing with your patients, these tools allow your business to really generate. And I want to show you some of those things that truly have made a big difference. Here's a couple of quotes. Knowledge is power. This is a false statement. This is by Napoleon Hill in Think and Grow Rich. Knowledge is potential power. It becomes power only when it is organized into definite plans of action and directed to a definite end. Those are the kind of things that we work with you in the Optimal Clinic system. And that's what we're presenting to you tonight, is the Thrive system, but taking it another level, another step beyond that, to have some personal coaching and really get nitty gritty into your office to really help generate. Also, when performance is measured, performance improves. When performance is measured and reported, the rate of improvement accelerates. So these are the kind of systems that we bring to the table through the Thrive system. So in the next few minutes, we want to talk about your nutrition program, a maintenance program, new contact conversion, and patient retention program. And I think I muted Dr. Brett. Dr. Brett, are you there? I think Dr. Brett was at the soccer game, but.
Oh, be there.
Okay, Dr. Brett, great. So we've been working with Dr. Brett over the last month and identifying in his office some of the areas that need some help. Where is he losing money? And as we've identified some of those things, and in your office, obviously, every office is going to be a little bit different. These systems still work similar in his office as they can in your office. So we identified that Dr. Brett is 60 to 65% of his patients are taking supplements, something that he was surprised at. Patients are staying on treatment plans for 6 weeks. He thought they were 12 weeks or longer, and purchasing supplements about $350 per year, which was a lot smaller than he ever thought. But even though that's fairly small, he still generates about $300,000 in supplement revenue each year. So supplements. This is a study done in November of 14 talking about
Hey, Clark, hang on just a minute. Dr. Brett, can you hear us? Dr. Brett, can you hear us?
Yeah.
You have a lot of background noise coming from somewhere. It came on when you came on, so I don't know what you can do, but it's
Is that better?
lot coming through.
Yeah, much
Is that better now?
Yep, great.
Yes.
That's better now? Okay, sorry.
Okay, so 68% of the U.S. adults reported taking dietary supplements. So the patients that are coming to you searching for alternative health care, a higher percentage than that are going to be buying supplements. The highest area that they're buying is vitamins and minerals, and then some specialty supplements. This one's interesting. If you see the highlighted in blue, the highest percentage of people are taking supplements for overall health, wellness benefits, and to fill nutrient gaps in my diet. Down below that, you'll see these are conditional. So you think in your office, people come to see you because they have a condition. You put them on conditional medications, conditional supplementation or nutrition, and help heal them. But oftentimes then they leave your office and they go back to buying somewhere else. Well, we want to show you how we can change that. One of our offices, I work with doctors all over the country, and some of the best that are really doing incredible things. So we bring these things to the table to help individual offices. Here's an office that's fairly small, 165 patients, which represented 60% of this doctor's patients, and they were buying $159 on average per month, and we're tracking these things, so these are real numbers. So he does over $25,000 in supplements a month. Here's another office back east, 2014, 542 patients, $865,000 in nutrition, which is $132 a month. And as we show these things, just kind of showing Dr. Brett, look at the potential, 1,300 patients in a year's time. And so the potential here is tremendous. And it probably is, from my experience in working with many offices, is yours is as well. So from this information, this data, I tell Dr. Brett all the time, the story is in the data. So as we look at the data, we start to identify these areas that maybe you're losing money in, and then we can make some goals. How do we fix these things? How do we find solutions? How do we find what other successful offices are that we can bring to the table to help you in your office? So from some of those things, we were able to make new goals for Dr. Brett. In 2015, $1 million in nutritional sales. 90% of his patients taking supplements, $150 average. And if he just did that, 90% of his patients buying $150, it would be $2 million in nutritional sales this year. Well, our goal is just $1 million, up from 300,000 to $1 million. So we feel that's very doable. Now think about this for a minute in green here. Selling increased supplements to your current patients is straight profit and adds minimal additional work. You're already paying for your office staff, you're paying all your overhead from the services and whatever nutrition you're already doing. So you're not adding any additional expenses to this revenue stream. So this is straight profit to your bottom line. Okay, so remember we talked about earlier that most of you sell conditional nutrition, while most people are buying, or a higher percentage of people are buying, maintenance nutrition. So how do we dive in, or how do we do that? This is a quote from Dr. Chestnut. These nutrients are not optional. They are essential for human wellness and prevention in the 21st century. Omegas, probiotics, vitamins, micronutrients. Okay? Dr. John said the same types of things. Digestive enzymes, probiotics, essential fatty acids, vitamin D. These kinds of things the body can't get from the foods that we eat. So if we don't supplement, then we don't get them. How many of your patients are on a maintenance program with you? Another from Doug Grant here, very similar. The essentials. What are the essentials? We've got to have the essentials. Most of you aren't selling the essentials. From this same study, we know that a high percentage of people listen and trust their doctors, but notice this. 63% of patients buy based on price. So let's price then is going to be a big important piece of this whole puzzle. We went out and we tried to identify what of the essential nutrients and how do they stack up with other supplement providers. And so as we go down and we look at the OHS product line, if you look down here at the bottom, it's about 20 to 25% below the other guys and more. So right from the get-go, using the OHS product line, you heard Dr. John and Doug talk about the powerful nutrition of what the OHS product line brings you. So you have some of the best products in the world, and now we dial into this price point because 63% of people buy based on price. Okay. Let's see. Dr. John already shared this in the previous of Dr. David Hancock talking about the power of the nutrition. Also, Dr. David Wardy's piece. This is Mike Brungart, who is the San Antonio strength coach, San Antonio Spurs. I've known Doug Grant for over a decade and have used his nutritional products and programs. If his advice and products are powerful enough for our NBA champion team, it will work for you also. And Dr. Brett, you saw that in the previous. So there's all of these pieces that go with the puzzle to use this powerful nutrition. And because of our relationship with OHS, in our optimal clinic system, we have lots of ties into that system that allows us to really track what's happening with your patients. So we're able to educate them because we're able to see what they're buying. We're able to track their registration signups because, again, we have tracking into that system. Remember, the story is in the data. If we can pull through the business systems the data and analyze the data and make good business decisions based on that data, then great things can happen in your office, just like we're doing in Dr. Brett's office. And what we have found in all of this is education is the key. If we can educate your patient on your services and your supplements that you sell, they will act. And we've proven that in many doctors' offices. Another important piece of this whole puzzle is, again, how do we educate them? What are the ways people learn? And we want to help transform your office into an educational experience for the patient. So working with Doug Grant and Dr. John, being able to produce posters that can go up in a waiting room, be able to create flyers that educate about the essentials. As we educate people about the essentials, as they come in and they get conditional help and they leave with a maintenance program. Remember, again, we talked about price. So as we go in the front door and they get conditional help, remember that we're already with the OHS product line 20 to 25% below many of the other nutrition companies. Plus, it works better. But then when they're walking out the door of your office, the majority of your offices don't continue to sell nutrition to the patients. Well, what if you could? Studies show that 40% of your customers will buy again from you if you nurture them properly over time. That's some of the system that we bring to the table for you, is that we can indeed continue to nurture these people as they leave your office, but also we offer them, like in Dr. Brett's office, we've said to the patient, if you're part of our maintenance program or if you're part of our auto ship program, you get an additional 20% off your order every month. And you also can come in for a complimentary or free maintenance checkups. So in Dr. Brett's office, they come back in for an HRV scan and monitor that way. So as long as they're on the auto ship program, they can have these things. I know in some of your states you'll have to work through some of those kinds of things to meet the regulations. But the auto ship program gives you an additional price point hook into your patients to keep them buying after they've left your office. And the Thrive system nurtures them and educates them through lots of different modes, through email, through text, through voice blasts. We can send them reminders about their 30 or 60-day maintenance program. It's time to come back in and get your nutrition checked, etc. So we talked about the whole nutrition piece of this puzzle and how that can be a huge generation and straight profit to your bottom line with minimal work. Well, another thing that we're looking at is the conversion in an office. Your new contacts, when they come into your office, how many do you convert to become paying patients? Most offices that I work with are 50 to 60% conversion. I do work with some that do 80 and 90% conversion. Well, you guys do the hard work of getting people in the door, and most businesses spend a third of their budget on marketing to get people to the door. Well, if you have a great program and you're a great doctor, people tell their friends about you, and generally you get people to the door. Well, then how do we convert them? So we look at the data and we start identifying where are the problems here? How can we push these numbers up to 70 or 80%? How can we keep this patient on longer than 6 weeks? And how can we, as we provide them that health and a maintenance program to be able to have them spend more money with us for their health? Dr. Brett, and I know Dr. John, others, maybe this is familiar to you, this road of recovery and how people's choices, and as they get on this path to be able to reach optimal health, and sometimes we make choices where we stop doing that after we get out of pain. Well, how long are you keeping your patients on? Dr. Brett was shocked to realize when we looked at the data that he's only keeping patients on 6 weeks. Well, again, you wonderful doctors are so busy changing the lives of people that a lot of this business stuff goes without a lot of attention. And when we put some attention, some positive energy and positive attention, and put these business systems in, again, wonderful things can happen. So we look at the processes that you have in your office. The Thrive system is able to be customized to what your office does. If you're only converting 50, 60%, then we want to work with you to help increase that. If you're already doing 80%, well, you've got that piece covered and you don't need as much help and attention in that area. Again, the edge mail, we look at the report of findings. Again, this process that your patients go through, as we say, from the new contact to the patient, what experience is your patient having? We want them to have a wow experience, I like to call it, to wow them in that window of time so that they do become paying patients. We want to have eyes on this whole process. And again, the Thrive system allows us to be able to do that. And we're really enhancing the system for the Optimal Clinic program. We're really enhancing that, working with Dr. Brett in his office and really putting some eyes and some processes and the steps that go in place so that we can really see as a patient goes through this process, and if we're dropping them somewhere or something's going on with our people or our processes, how we can fix those things. So then as we go through that, we've made some new goals with Dr. Brett's office. 70 to 80% of new contacts becoming patients. Average length of patient treatment, 12 weeks. $1,500 average service purchase per patient. If we just did that, if we were able to do that, and we're on our way to being able to do that, Dr. Brett has made some significant changes in those processes to be able to increase just from this piece, $1 million in service revenues. So now we're talking about $700,000 in nutritional increase, $1 million in service increase. You see, there's tremendous potential as we just kind of look and analyze and focus in on the data, make some changes. Again, knowledge is not power, like we sometimes say. It's only power if it's organized into plans of action. And then as we have performance, if we measure it, it improves. If we measure it and report it, the improvement accelerates. Dr. John has said this quote, and I don't know if Dr. John's still on or not, but he said, "I always wanted you to know that I have learned an important lesson about making sure to have a system to educate and nurture my patients, especially after they leave my care. If I had had the Thrive system when I was practicing, I believe I could easily added $500,000 to my annual revenue." And I would simply say, knowing Dr. John, we could have done much more than $500,000 after we've looked at Dr. Brett's and see the potential there.
I am still here. At the time I quit, I was doing about $1.3 million to $1.5 million a year without having the system. With it, I'd been dangerous.
Yes, thank you, thank you, thank you. So, a lot of you doctors that are on tonight are new to the Thrive system, and you should have received an email while this webinar has been going on that has a couple of videos, the 3 pillars of Thrive, that just kind of gives you a few-minute video about the core of what just the basic Thrive system does. The basic Thrive system is a total automated system that educates and nurtures your patient base. It's a $249 a month program. There's no contracts. It's a month-to-month relationship, and there's a 30-day money-back guarantee. So you can't lose in trying out the system and seeing if it'll work for you. And what we have found is that if you're a good office, if you're a good doctor, if your patients love you, then the system will reflect that experience your patients are doing. The offices that I work with, like Dr. Brett, that are good, their inactive patients, his active patients respond beautifully to the whole system because Dr. Brett gets results. People love going there because he helps people. So in the optimal clinic system, this is another step way beyond just the basic Thrive system. And if you don't have the basic Thrive system, you need it. It will generate revenue into your office. It will help bring a great system to your office, and it will nurture and educate your patient without any work from your side. If you want to take the next step to really be able to use the Thrive system and customize it and use our knowledge as a coach of the things that we're learning with doctors around the country and our business experience, that's what the optimal clinic system is. And here's some of those things. We believe, because of what we've seen and where we're going with Dr. Brett, that we can double your revenue in your office as we put these systems in play. But there's some requirements if you want to join this program. You have to be a Thrive client, of course. You have to decide that OHS is your priority or your primary recommended nutrition. Now, OHS doesn't have everything that you're going to need. At least that's what Dr. Brett tells me. And so you might have some other products that you might need to do, and that will work with that. But OHS has got to be your primary because we have so many ties with OHS that really gives our system the eyes that we need to be able to show you those different areas of evaluation. You have to meet the qualifications. If you're not a good doctor, if your patients aren't having a great experience with you, my system or no system can help you. First, you got to go to Dr. John. You got to go to his seminars. You got to be a great doctor. You got to get results. When that happens, the system will just magnify you. We become a personal coach in the Optimal Clinic system. We personally coach you through these things. I meet with Dr. Brett regularly. I meet with his team regularly. Of course, he's local here with where I am. If you're not local, then we do that through Skype, through GoToMeeting, through other media channels to be able to really get involved and help you. We develop a written plan to integrate the systems and the best way to educate your patients after we evaluate what's happening in your office. let's see, I skipped A. We'll do an evaluation of your people, processes, and products. They say that people will either make you or break you. And I've been into lots of chiropractic offices that have the wrong people. And if you have the right people, it will make such a difference. You're losing patients if you have the wrong people. So we analyze these different areas from the business side of it. We will teach and train your staff in these systems and processes. We'll customize the TRISE system to closely monitor these processes. We'll provide and go over with you in depth the progress and increased revenues. So we're looking for qualified offices. We're looking for 10 offices that we can really dive into and really make a difference. Our goal, again, is to double your annual revenues. And what would it cost, or what would you pay if we could really do this? So all it comes down to is that, do you believe us and the data that we have that we can change your revenue stream? And again, we're doing it. Dr. Brett, I don't know if you're out there yet, that you can hear us. I'd love for you to talk to the doctors about your experience and how you're feeling about things.
You hear me fine?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, so I remember years ago we were training other doctors, and we called it, how to clone $1 million practice. And we had one doc said, you guys teach people how to be $1 million practitioners, but not how to generate $1 million. I think part of that put us on a whole streamline of how to looking at our systems, what we're working. So for me, it's been kind of a eye awakening and kind of a rude awakening at the same time. I've always done well, but not necessarily knowing how I did that. I didn't know I tracked my numbers well and all that. But with this, when you really get down into it, and for me, when I look at the numbers, like, okay, well, I'm seeing all these new patients, and the revenue is there. But when you go down and you look at it and start really analyzing how many new patients I'm seeing versus somebody else, and the revenue they're producing that same volume of patients, like I should be generating a lot more than I am. And then I've known forever with nutrition, it's like, okay, you get people well, and then they then buy based on price point. So just looking at the data and then seeing it's been a huge eye opener for me. And so in Good to Great talks about the 3 ways to grow a business is you got to see more people, you've got to generate, sell them more or have them come back more often. Well, using the Thrive system last year and a half or so, probably 2 years almost now, Carl, we started, is that it's helped me, one, help people come in more often. So just in that, it raised our revenue up in our businesses $100,000 from 2013 to 2014. Now implementing the whole patient conversion, which we hadn't done, which we really started doing really well in January. Into January, I went from being busy schedule to I can't get anybody in for a month, and which then put my associate being where he can't get people in very well, and so it drastically increased his ability to see patients and push people over to him at the point where now I'm concerned I'm going to probably have to pull another practitioner into my practice, which is a great problem to have. And then looking at the other side, realizing how much more volume and nutrition we can do. So I've been kind of playing with these numbers and talking to patients about, this idea of auto ship. And all of them are very thrilled with that idea. Hey, I can save money and stay on good products, but then again, they're tied back into us and what we're doing. And so it's just, everything makes 100% sense. So instead of just accidentally making money, you're purposely making money, but you're doing it based on helping people actually get well and stay well, but addressing one of their main concerns is they want to be well, but at the same time, they also don't want to spend more money than they have to. So it comes to a point where when most people are dropping out, they're dropping out of care not because of any other reason other than they feel like they can't afford it. So if solving that issue of price point from the supplement sales is huge. I had this conversation with a lady today, and she's been buying some multi just because, from a company, just because it's a little cheaper. And as we looked at it, she's like, I'm like, you got to take this much more of that to equal what you need. And I was telling her about, doing auto ship. She said, well, I'd rather do that. I said, yeah, because it just makes sense. Because it's like, okay, I get good stuff, and the price point is fantastic. So then to me, I'm thinking, so if I do this for another 5 years, where's my residual volume and nutrition going to be compared to what it is right now? And so I look, talking about the educational process is interesting because there's a couple of products we sell well all the time. We have forever enzymes and probiotics because we educate people so well on it. Well, we did that not by accident, but by intent. And so if we can do this now, the Thrive system help us with that, it's going to happen automatically and actually leverage us. And so it's been a really eye-opening process for myself to realize how that we've done good, but we can do great by implementing this system. And that's what I see huge when it comes to my patient conversion, just in implementing a few simple steps.
Dr. Brett, would you tell them how you get the information every day? And as your patient, I get an email that tells me when I'm supposed to come in, and I get edu-mails telling me things about nutrition.
When I began practice with my dad, we were doing a paper system, right? Paper system, patient appointment book. Well, it really relied upon people to make sure that they follow the process to make sure people in. Now you're automating a lot of those processes, so you're able to free your people up to be more with the person. So at the end of my day, I can look at my stats from that day, so I see what new patients I've had and, you know, what was done that day. And I love that because I get an email at 6 o'clock every night. On my way home, I make a phone call to those new patients that I learned from my dad. So that's automatically being done instead of me having to remember to get my number. That's such a huge thing. So I always have eyes on my practice, not only my own practice, but what my associate's doing, and then helping him be more successful as well. So it automates a lot of those steps that we know we're supposed to do. Makes it very easy. So I know we got to end, Clark. I don't want to take up more time, but to me, I realize for me, if either I'm going to be okay with where I'm at, or I can be really well at what I do and be the best and start creating some residual income so that when I go on vacation, I can do the best job I can with my patients, but at the same time not worry about not getting results. So if I can increase my revenue $700,000 in nutritional sales, that doesn't add any more staff to me. So training my staff to put people on auto ship is a huge benefit to me long term and to the patient. And I always come from the standpoint of how it fits the patient. And I didn't have a system like that before. Now I do. What a huge benefit that is.
Great. Well, thank you, Dr. Brett, Dr. John, so much. Doug, obviously from this, we want you to go on to the Optimal Health Systems website and get the products ordered, get them trying, your patients trying them. Again, in the email that I sent you during this webinar, there's a registration link in that email that you can go on and register for the Thrive system. If you're interested in the Optimal Clinic system, again, you want to be one of those 10 offices that we really dial in like Dr. Brett's and work to double your revenue. Email me at rctilley@thrive.com. You see that on the screen. Again, that's rctilley@thrive.com. And we'll analyze where you're at in your system. You have to qualify. Again, if you're a great doctor, we want to take you on. If you're working on being a great doctor, we want you to get with Dr. John and get that figured out so that you can really be great. Thank you so much for your time tonight. We wish you the best in all that you're doing. And again, thank you. We'll send this out to anybody that has been registered tonight. So again, thank you so much and good night.
Good night, everybody. Bye-bye.
Thanks. Night.